Okay guys, so welcome again to our class. So we'll discuss the remaining intestinal nematodes. So we'll discuss hookworm, Strongyloides stercoralis, Dracunculus pentenensis, and the Angiostrongylus cantonensis. Even the call this one the the Trichinella spiralis. Okay, so for hookworms, there are several species under hookworms. So, the Necator americanus, Ancylostoma duodenale, Ancylostoma brasiliensis, and Ancylostoma caninum. But we'll mainly focus on the first two. So, you also search for the common names of these four hookworms. Okay, so hookworms, for their morphology, these are small, cylindrical, fusiform, grayish-white worms, wherein the female, they have a paired reproductive organs, while for male, they have single reproductive organs. The posterior end, um, the posterior end of the males are broad, translucent, membranous caudal bursa with rib-like rays. So this is the bursa, copulatory bursa of hookworm. So ito yung nire-refer niya as rib-like rays. Okay, so they have relatively thick cuticle and the head is curved opposite to the curvature of the body, which is like a hook at the anterior end. However, this one, head is curved that is opposite to the curvature of the body. This refers to the, particularly to the Necator americanus. Okay, so morphological differences between the two species of our concern for this discussion, the Necator americanus and the Ancylostoma duodenale. Okay, so dapat may space. Ewan ko ba sa inyo guys, kasi minsan, dun sa binigay ko na copy, merong dalawang dot. Sa quiz naman, ginaya nyo din yun. Which is mali. Diba? That is not the proper way of writing the species. Okay? And dapat may space. Okay, kaso lumalayo kasi. Naka-justify. And though, since this is in computer, it must also be italicized. Okay, so for the size, Necator americanus is smaller relative to the size of Ancylostoma duodenale. And the shape, that is for Necator americanus, it has double curves which looks like an S. Ano ba yung sinasabi niyang S? Ito yun. Okay, a S. So that is for Necator americanus. Unlike for Ancylostoma duodenale, pa C. Okay, so single curve lang siya, looks like C. So for the mouth, one pair of ventral cutting plates. And for the Ancylostoma duodenale, there is two pairs of ventral teeth. So eto yun guys. Excuse me. For the Necator americanus, it has one pair of this ventral cutting plates. So if you remember, di ba yung mga una nating slides, ito yung nasa gilid. Okay? Yung sinasabing ano. So, and for this one, for the Ancylostoma duodenale, it has two pairs of teeth. Diba? Hindi lang pala tayo nangingitin. Pati mga parasite. Okay? So that is for Ancylostoma duodenale. Okay, so for the copulatory bursa that is oval in shape for Necator americanus, pairs the duodenale that is circle in shape. For copulatory bursa of Necator americanus, it has one pair of which unite to form a terminal hooklet. Okay, nag-unite siya. Unlike kay duodenale, one pair with separate spicule endings. Pareho silang tig one pair. Okay, so eto yun. So, nag-unite siya at the end. Ba yung mga rays, that is for Necator americanus. Pero kay Ancylostoma duodenale guys, separate pa din siya. Yung mga rays niya. So, separate. So, that is a way to differentiate the male. That is the differences, one of the differences of the Necator americanus and the Ancylostoma duodenale. Okay, so this is for the male, yung mealworm. Kasi sila naman yung may copulatory bursa. So, walang caudal spine si Necator americanus, pero meron kay Ancylostoma duodenale. Vulva position, pre-equatorial. Ibig sabihin, before the middle. Okay? So, for the Ancylostoma duodenale, that is post-equatorial. Okay? So, mas malapit siya sa posterior end. Ito naman, mas malapit siya sa anterior end. Okay, so ito yun, vulva, anterior to middle, posterior to middle kay ancylostoma. So, same principle, pag babae, mas mahaba. Okay? So, Necator, the shape, the head is small, bent acutely in opposite direction to general curve. Kaya siya nag-S shape. But for the ancylostoma, bow-shaped curve, head in same line as the body. Okay? So, pa-C and pa-S. So, buccal capsule, for the buccal capsule of Necator, that is almost spherical. Okay? But for the buccal capsule of the ancylostoma, that is elongated or tear-shaped. So, for the mouth, diba? So, two semilunar cuticular cutting plates, or yung ginamit natin kanina is one pair of ventral cutting plates. Cutting plates siya. Okay, hindi siya ngipin. So, this is a cutting plate. This is a teeth. A tooth pala. Okay, these are teeth. So, teeth ngipin kay duodenale, cutting plates kay americanus. So, pag female, wala siyang spine. For Necator, for ancylostoma, it has a sharp spine. So, vulva, discuss na natin, bursa. So, sa bursa ni Necator, that is longer than wide. Okay? So, this one, longer than wide. Pero, si duodenale kabaliktaran, wider than long. So, dorsal ray, deeply cleft, tip of each cleft, divided into two. Pero kay ancylostoma, shallow cleft, tip of each cleft divided into three. So, ito, dalawa lang. Ito, tatlo. Spicules, tips usually united and recurved, tips not united. So, hindi sila united kay duodenale. Dito, nag-unite sila. Okay? Kay Necator americanus. So, take note, guys, that for hookworms, these are, before I forget, these are the agent of laziness in pore. Okay, agent of laziness in pore. And these are blood-sucking nematodes that attaches to small intestine. Diba? Dami ko pang pa-design noon. Diba? Medyo ma-effort. Okay? So, for the eggs, okay, these are indistinguishable for ancylostoma and Necator. So, hindi mo ma-identify kung ancylostoma ba siya or Necator based sa eggs. And even for the larvae. Okay? Even for the larvae, hindi siya na-identify. So, size. Never mind the size. Sheath mark striations, especially at posterior. This is for Necator. Pink cuticular striations, this is for ancylostoma. So, the head is pointed, blunt for ancylostoma. So, intestine, apparent gap between intestine and esophagus. No apparent gap between intestine and esophagus for ancylostoma duodenale. So, esophageal spheres. Necator, prominent anterior end shaped like facial funnel. But for esophageal spheres of ancylostoma, not so prominent, tips do not diverge. Okay, so another differentiation for Necator. Posterior end, male has a broad membranous caudal bursa with rib-like rays for copulation. For ancylostoma, single paired male and female reproductive system. Buccal capsule, okay, na-discuss natin yan. Head, curve opposite. So, na-discuss na rin natin yan. Buccal spheres, conspicuous, inconspicuous sky, ancylostoma duodenale. Okay, so you read further. So, that is for the buccal cavity. So, copulatory bursa. So, this is for, diba? Longer than wide, that is Necator americanus. So, this one, this is for ancylostoma duodenale. So, this is the female for Necator americanus. And this is for the male of Necator americanus. Ito naman yung sa ancylostoma duodenale. So, in the love part, pwede kong ipa-quiz yung different parts of their body. Okay, saan ba dyan yung ovary, cervical gland, and others. So again, they have digestive system and reproductive system, pero wala silang circulatory, sorry, excuse me, wala silang circulatory system. So for the ova, okay, pag nakikita niyo yung term na morula ball, actually, that is a characteristic of hookworm's egg, okay, or hookworm eggs. So, morula ball, hookworm eggs yun. So, ova, bluntly rounded ends and a single thin, transparent, hyaline shell. So, aside from hookworm, sino din ang may transparent hyaline shell? See? Yung D-shape. Ano yung D-shape? That is Enterobius vermicularis eggs. Okay, so that is unsegmented at oviposition. So the larva, okay, guys, this is a general knowledge na kapag filariform yan, that is the infective stage. Pero non-feeding siya, hindi siya kumakain ng feeding. So it has esophagus and measures less than a millimeter long. Pero pag rhabditiform yan, that is the feeding stage, pero it is non-infective. Hindi siya infective. So, that is stouter than filariform. Mas mataba sa filariform. So, this is the egg. Okay, ito yung sinasabi na thin hyaline shell. Okay, so again, it is sometimes described as morula ball. So, this is a hookworm egg. Okay, so that is a hookworm egg. So, meron silang thin hyaline shell and presence of segmented ovum. So, merong 4 na blastomy. But sometimes, you cannot determine or identify yung segmentation. Okay? So, eto, meron siyang 4 na blastomy. So, it has a thin hyaline. Okay. So, this one, hyaline covering. So, larva that will hatch from the egg. So, again, they are rhabditiform larva. So, first stage larva that is short and stout. That is the feeding stage. Magmo-molt siya twice para maging si filariform larva. Kaya agad-agad na nagiging third stage larva. Si third stage larva, which is the filariform larva, that is long and slender, non-feeding stage siya, but that is the infective stage. Okay, so this is the life cycle. So, ancylostoma species larvae can become, wait lang. So, let's start here. Okay, so number 1. So, eggs in feces, this is the diagnostic stage. Okay, so this is the diagnostic stage wherein they will hatch to form the rhabditiform larva. Okay, they will undergo 2 molts, okay, to become the filariform larva, which is the infective stage. So, there is percutaneous infection or penetration. So, filariform larva penetrates the skin. Okay? Kaya pala sinasabi na magchinelas. Bakit magchinelas? Because that simple action will also prevent you from acquiring hookworm infection. Diba? Kasi if you are walking in the sand or in the contaminated soil, barefoot, okay, so that is the time that if the soil is contaminated with hookworm infection, then they can penetrate directly the skin and can cause a hookworm infection. Okay, so larvae. Okay, Ancylostoma species larvae can become developmentally arrested and dormant in tissues. They can be reactivated larvae may enter the small intestine. So larvae exit circulation in the lungs. They are then coughed up and swallowed. Okay, kasi ang nangyayari dito, if the larva, okay, penetration of the skin happens, it accesses the portal circulation, it travels through the lungs, okay, and then the larvae travels through the lungs, then they are coughed up and then swallowed, okay. So in that case, they will go and they will stay in the small intestine because that is their habitat, okay, and they attaches to the intestinal mucosa using their cutting plates or their teeth. Okay? They attaches to the mucosa. Okay? And anong gagawin nila doon? They will suck blood. Okay? Kaya nga, these are referred as blood-sucking nematodes, and wherein they can cause anemia and chronic blood loss. Okay, so question for research: determine the possible mode of transmission of Necator americanus and Ancylostoma duodenale, and then you compare the mode of transmission. Okay, so you get your answers from CDC. Okay, kasi ang dami-daming sites. But for this, please get your answers from CDC. Ito sa life cycle. Okay, so if you read further on hookworm infection, may clinical manifestation doon, and then other important information related to hookworm infection. So this is the L3, the filariform larva, which is the infective stage. Okay, so the abitiform larva of Strongyloides circularis can be mistaken from that of hookworm abitiform. Okay, so this is the filariform of hookworm. This is for Strongyloides circularis. So this is the abitiform of Strongy, and this is for the hookworm. Actually, this is hard to identify or to classify microscopically kasi hindi naman ganito kalinis yung makikita mong worm, okay, or abitiform or the filariform, kasi there are many fecal debris and sometimes na-obscure yung mga important characteristic. Okay. So, hookworms, portal entry to host, skin penetration usually in the hook area, both attached to mucosa of small intestine. So, of course, they infect human, but not only human, but some other animals as well. Okay, so infective stage, the filariform larva, habitat is soil. So, ito yung pinapa-research ko sa inyo. Yung other possible mode of transmission. So, diseases associated with hookworm infection, ground itch or dew itch, that is inflammation, redness, and disflammation, along with intense itching at the site of skin penetration, kung saan pumasok yung mga hookworms. Loeffler's syndrome also. So, check, ano ba ang Loeffler's syndrome? Possible gastroenteritis with abdominal pain, diarrhea, and nausea. Chronic blood loss because these are blood-sucking nematodes. Okay, and because they compete for the blood that may result to iron deficiency, anemia. Okay, and nagkakaroon ng hypoalbuminemia. Anong ibig sabihin yan? Low level of albumin due to combined loss of blood, lymph, as well as proteins. So, also necatoriasis and ankylostomiasis. So, depending on the species of hookworm. So, yung pathology, parts of the body that's involved in the pathology of hookworms are the, number one, skin at the site of entry, kung saan sila pumapasok. Okay, kung saan nagkaroon ng skin penetration. Lung during the migration. Okay, and small intestine, which is their habitat. So, major pathology and symptoms, serpent-like tunneling at the site of penetration may occur. So, that is referred to as the cutaneous larva migrans. During migration through the lungs, patients may experience a sore throat and a bloody sputum. Heavy intestinal infection may result in enteritis, anemia, weakness, and loss of strength due to anemia. Chronic infections may experience anemia, weakness, weight loss, as well as gastrointestinal symptoms. Nutritional and disease factors are commonly seen in endemic areas. Children may exhibit stunted growth, as well as it affects their intellectual development. So, blood loss can be up to 100 milliliters per day. So, hindi siya ganun. If you look at the quantitative value, so parang maliit lang siya, di ba? Milliliters lang. So, it's milliliters. So, that is, however, if you combine that, how about if that is for a period of 1 to 2 years? So, sobrang dami ng nawawalang blood. Kaya it may result to iron deficiency anemia and chronic blood loss. Okay, diagnosis, of course, direct fecal smear, because that is the most common method to assess parasite infection. Kato technique or Kato cards for the quantitative. Concentration, the zinc sulfate and formalin ether concentration technique. Harada Mori, which allows the hatching of larvae. Okay, so for the Harada Mori technique that is used to identify the species, if you want to identify the species of the parasite that infects a human, then perform the Harada Mori. Okay, however, it has more disadvantage to the laboratorian or medical technologists because it is more complicated. Okay, mas complicated yung Harada Mori. So this is the culture technique. So guys, concentration, so number 3, zinc sulfate and the FECT. Concentration method are recommended if you want to determine if a stool is positive or negative. So, pag species identification, again, Harada Mori culture technique. If that is said to be light infection, expect only 5 eggs per smear. May light infection na. Pag sinasabi nilang clinically significant, that is more than 20 eggs per smear. But if that is heavy infection, you expect more than 100 eggs per smear. Okay, and another reading assignment. You search on Harada Mori technique. How is it done? Okay, so that will be included in your quiz sa laboratory. Okay, so you read further about Harada Mori culture technique for hookworms. So, treatment, again, si albendazole and mebendazole. The drug of choice is albendazole. Okay? However, guys, I forgot to tell you that albendazole, this is not recommended for pregnant women. Okay? And mebendazole, this is not recommended for children less than 2 years of age. Okay? And iron supplement, especially for children who already display symptoms for iron deficiency anemia. So, we go to the second nematode for this discussion, the Strongyloides stercoralis. So, you check also for the common name of this one. Okay, check nyo, huwag nyo kakalimutan. So it can be parasitic and free-living. What do you mean by this? Parasitic, it becomes parasitic if it infects humans. Okay, because it derives its nutrients and food from human. That is free-living if it lives in the soil. Because this is capable of free-living state. Kaya niyang mabuhay on its own. So it is also capable of parthenogenesis. So let's check what's parthenogenesis. Diba? So portal entry or mode of transmission, that is contact with larvae in soil. Okay, so they can also enter in the wall of intestine as well as in the lungs. Kagaya din siya ni hookworm. So infective stage, filariform larva. Habitat, just like for hookworm, that is, they are found in the small intestine. So strongyloides, guys, there is no, wait, balikan natin to. So they are capable of parthenogenesis. That's why there is no parasitic male. Walang male na strongyloides cercoralis na parasitic. Okay, they are only free. There is only a free-living male of strongyloides cercoralis. So for the filariform, they are semi-transparent with finely serrated cuticle. So that is the size, or yes, size or the length. So filariform larvae, slender tapering anterior and short conical pointed tail. So we have a pointed tail, ventrally curved tail. So that is for the free-living male. Two copulatory spicules, a gubernaculum but no caudal eye. So for the filariform female, long slender esophagus extend to the anterior cord of the body. So intestine is continuous to subterminal anus. And for the free-living female, muscular double-bulbed esophagus, intestine is straight, cylindrical tube. So ganun pa din, if that is rhabditiform, non-infective siya, but that is the feeding stage. So it is elongated esophagus. It has an elongated esophagus with piriform posterior valve. It has short buccal capsule and a larger genital primordium. So filariform, that is the non-feeding stage, but that is the infective stage. It is slender, has a longer esophagus, notched tail. So filariform larva has short buccal cavity with 4 indistinct lips. So, and its vulva is located at the 1/3 length of the body. So diseases, strongyloidiasis. Okay. So this is invasion of the skin by filariform larvae. Migration of larvae through the body may result to lobar pneumonia. So we check on this one also. Penetration of the intestinal mucosa by adult female worms. And strongyloides stercoralis infection may also result to Cochin China diarrhea. So this Cochin China diarrhea, that is heavy infection, produces intractable, painless, intermittent diarrhea characterized by numerous episodes of watering and bloody stools. And take note also, guys, that for strongyloides stercoralis infection, the pathology involves 3 sites, kagaya din ng hookworm. Okay? Number 1, that is the invasion of the skin by the larvae. So, yung skin. Okay? So, kagaya din ng hookworm because of the invasion of the larvae. So, the larva invasion in the skin produces erythema or pruritic elevated hemorrhagic papules. Another is the migration of the larvae in the lungs. So, skin, lungs, kagaya ng hookworm. Okay, so the larva migration in the lungs destroy the organ that causes the lobar pneumonia with hemorrhage. Okay, and third, that is the intestinal mucosa. So, small intestine din. So, pareho sila ng pathology ng hookworm infection. So, penetration of intestinal mucosa, which sometimes result to honeycomb appearance in the small intestine. So, adult worms of strongyloides stercoralis causes honeycomb appearance in small intestine. Okay, review. How about yung flask-shaped ulcers? Sino yung nag-cause ng flask-shaped ulcers sa small intestine. Or sa intestine. Sa large yata kaya yun. Sa large. That is Entamoeba histolytica. Okay. So this is the Strongyloides stercoralis worm. So we have here the copulatory bursa. So this is the rhabditiform. Okay, rhabditiform larva. So we compare buccal cavity of the rhabditiform of hookworm is long. So buccal cavity, either that is rhabditiform or filariform for hookworm, that is long. Pero kapag si Strongyloides, short. Okay? Yung bulb that is present hindi rhabditiform, pero wala siya sa filariform. So, tail ni filariform, pointed, notch kay Strongyloides. So, genital primordium, malaki kay, small, maliit. Small for hookworm rhabditiform and large for the Strongyloides rhabditiform. Okay, so this is the life cycle of the Strongyloides stercoralis. So let's start with number 1. Rhabditiform larvae in the intestine are excreted in stool. So guys, take note, the diagnostic stage for Strongyloides stercoralis is rhabditiform, hindi egg. Yun yung isa sa pagkakaiba nila kay hookworm. Si hookworm, diba, pwede kasing maging diagnostic stage na both ang rhabditiform and the egg. Pero wala kasing egg na nakikita kay sa stool if that is Strongyloides stercoralis infection. So this one, since rhabditiform na yung lumalabas, okay, ibig sabihin, the egg hatches even if they are still inside. So that one, auto-infection is possible. Rhabditiform larvae in the large intestine becomes filariform larvae. So they penetrate intestinal mucosa or perianal skin and migrate randomly to other organs. So the filariform migrate by various pathways to the small intestine where they become adults. So yun yung cycle. Kahit hindi pa siya lumalabas, pwede siyang mag-lead to auto-infection. Kasi nga yung rhabditiform, even inside the body, they can change to become the filariform larvae. So, adult female worm in the intestine. So, eggs deposited in the intestinal mucosa, they hatch and migrate to the lumen. Meron siyang egg, okay? Pero yun nga, hindi siya lumalabas sa tae. Kaya hindi egg ang diagnostic stage niya. Instead, that is the rhabditiform larva. Okay, so if that is passed in the soil, that can develop into free-living adult worms. Okay, so eggs are produced by fertilized female worms, so this occurs in the soil. So rhabditiform larvae hatch from embryonated eggs. So, and then it will become mature to become the filariform, which is the infective stage. The infective filariform larvae can penetrate the intact skin, initiating infection. Okay, kaya nga this is a soil-transmitted nematode together with hookworm, ascaris, and trichuris. Okay, so that is for the life cycle. So you can read further on the life cycle by visiting cdc.com kasi most of the parasites of medical interest. So their life cycle, clinical manifestation, disease manifestation, laboratory diagnostic methods are found in cdc.com. So for the free-living, the rhabditiform larvae passing the stool can either become infective filariform larvae or pwede silang maging free-living adult males and female. So they mate. However guys, again, walang parasitic male. Okay, so that mate and produce eggs from which rhabditiform larvae hatch and eventually mature to become the infective filariform larvae. So the filariform larvae penetrate the human host skin to initiate the parasitic life cycle. So this is the life cycle. So I explained it already. So if you want to read further, you can visit cdc.com. So diagnosis, so Berman funnel. Okay, so the Berman funnel technique. So you read on Berman funnel, Harada Mori, okay, even for Gill's string test. How you read further and then because I will include them in the quiz. Kung ano ba yan? How is it done? What is the method? Duodenal aspiration and even small bowel biopsy. So treatment that is albendazole. Albendazole as the drug of choice, just like for football infection. And another possible treatment is thiabendazole. Okay, so this one. So these are so we move to these are non-intestinal. So these are tissue nematodes. Okay, so this one, the Trichinella spiralis are tissue nematode. So Trichinella spiralis, the Concolus medinensis, and the Angiostrongylus cantonensis. This is the Angiostrongylus. So they are not intestinal nematode. Okay, hindi sila intestinal nematode. These are extra-intestinal. Their habitat is outside the intestine. So, these are extra-intestinal nematodes. Okay, Trichinella spiralis. So, this is a tissue nematode because its habitat is the muscle tissue. So, there are actually 3 subspecies. So, see, Trichinella spiralis that is found in temperate regions. Trichinella spiralis nativa that is in Arctic, and the Nelsoni that is in Africa. Okay, so there are 3 subspecies. So, Spiralis nativa nelsoni. So, the male adult worm has a single testis near the posterior end. Okay, female, for the female naman, it has a single ovary in the posterior part. So, they have a short lifespan relative to other nematodes. Kasi, but for other nematodes, they can reach up to 2 years. Okay, and the only it lives for 30 days wherein they can produce 1,500 or more larvae. Okay, so the larvae, it has a spear-like borrowing teeth. So it has a spear-like borrowing teeth, and the mode of transmission, so as you can see here, that is ingestion of infected meat. Okay, since muscle yung target nila, so that is ingestion of infected meat. So they do not only infect humans, but as well as other animals. Okay, and yung target nila, their habitat that is in the muscle tissue. So this is the female and the male worm of Trichinella spiralis. So you check under the parts, the different parts, what is schistosome, what is stichocytes. Okay. So for the pathology, they may result to trichinosis, trichiniasis, trichinelliasis. So when you say light infection, you only extract 10 larvae. Pag moderate infection naman, 50 to 500 larvae. And pag 1,000 or more than 1,000, that is already considered as heavy infection. So clinical manifestation of the disease are, we have the 3 phases, the enteric phase, invasion phase, and the convalescent phase. Pag sinasabing enteric phase, okay, so that is the incubation and the intestinal invasion, wherein it resembles acute poisoning. Okay, so this one resembles acute poisoning. Sa invasion phase naman, there is larval migration and muscle invasion. So the cardinal signs of the invasion phase are, number 1, severe myalgia, 2nd, periorbital edema, and 3rd, that is eosinophilia. So those are the cardinal signs of the invasion phase of Trichinella spiralis infection. And the convalescent phase, that is the encystment and encapsulation, that already occurs in the muscle tissue. Okay, so nagkakaroon na siya ng fever, weakness, and muscle pain because of the invasion of the larvae sa muscle tissue. So, diagnosis, muscle biopsy. So, hindi, anong sample mo dito? Muscle tissue. Okay, hindi kayo pwedeng gumamit dito ng feces or stool kasi nga this is not an intestinal nematode. So, biochemical test, enzyme elevation. So, what enzymes would you expect to increase when there is muscle damage? Of course, nandiyan yung CK, LDH, and others. So, you check on them. Serology methods, the BFT, LFT, IFAT, and ELISA. And the Beck's diagnosis, that is feeding suspected infected meat. Okay, so ano yung pakakain mo dyan? Albino rats. And then you will observe the albino rat in 14 days, okay, to see if they are infected with the worm. Okay, so magpa-perform ka dun ng muscle biopsy to see if the albino rat is infected. So the life cycle. So infective stage larvae are ingested in meat products. Okay, so most likely nangyayari yan if the meat is uncooked or undercooked. Okay, yung mga raw meat. Tissue is digested, larvae are freed in the intestine. So they mature into adult males and females. Female Inocosa releases the larvae. This disseminate throughout the body via the bloodstream, and the larvae insist in striated muscle. Okay, so guys, the female stays in the intestine. Okay, the female stays in the intestine. But for the larvae, their habitat that is in the muscle tissue. So mode of transmission, again, that is ingestion of raw or undercooked, contaminated, or infected meat. Okay, Trichinella spiralis treatment. For trichinosis, that is bed rest and supportive treatment, as well as the use of analgesics and antipyretics to control the symptoms. Steroids, the steroids inhibits severity and protect organs, and for the thiadenazole, that is intended for the worms only. So, mebendazole may also be used for the treatment. Okay, so Angiostrongylus cantonensis. So, common name, that is the rat lungworm. Okay, habitat, you check on that. Saan na nag-stay? Okay, so, definitive host, rats. Ano yung scientific name ng rats that serves as the definitive host for Angiostrongylus cantonensis? You check on that. As well as for the intermediate host, anong mga mollusks? So, eto, ibibigay ko na lang to, but you check on their habitat and definitive host. Ano yung scientific name ng rats which serve as the definitive host for Angiostrongylus cantonensis? For the intermediate host, okay, so kohol and suso. Pero, their scientific name for kohol, that is the Pila luzonca. You check on their correct spelling. Okay, dali lang mo mag-search sa internet. And for the suso, that is the Britia aspirata. Okay? So, when infective larvae are ingested, it migrates in brain and spinal cord. That's why, guys, the Angiostrongylus cantonensis is the cause of angiostrongylliasis, okay, which is the most common cause of eosinophilic meningitis in Southeast Asia and Pacific Basin. Okay? Which means na eosinophilic meningitis, there's increased level of eosinophil, okay, sa CSF level. So we have here two species, the cantonensis and the costarricensis. Okay, so where will we start? So humans are incidental hosts wherein passage of larvae in humans has never been documented. Okay. So, and humans do not transmit either the cantonensis or the costa ricensis. Therefore, the mode of transmission here is ingestion of infected snails. Okay, mga mollusks, even crabs and freshwater shrimp na infected. So, for the cantonensis, it causes eosinophilic meningitis, a meningoencephalitis characterized by eosinophils in the CSF. This is common in parts of Southeast Asia, Pacific Islands, Africa, and the Caribbean. For the Costa ricensis, okay, or Angiostrongylus costa ricensis, it causes eosinophilic enteritis naman, an eosinophilic inflammation of the mesenteric arterioles of the ileocecal region of the gastrointestinal tract that mimics appendicitis. So, this is common in parts of Central and South America. So, eggs hatch in the lungs and first-stage larvae are passed in the rodent feces. That is for Angiostrongylus cantonensis. For the Costa ricensis, eggs hatch in the ileum and larvae are passed in the feces. So, the first-stage larvae infect snails and slugs. So, slugs and snails are intermediate hosts, and after 2 moults, the larvae reach the infective third stage. So, if it does not involve human, so, and then the cycle continues, so the third stage larvae are ingested by rats. But, since human serves as incidental host, okay, so paano sila nagiging incidental host? So, humans become infected through food containing third stage or the infective larvae. Food items may include uncooked snails or slugs, vegetables contaminated with snails, slugs, or mollusks, secretion when that is found in their slime, or infected paratenic hosts kagaya ng crabs and the freshwater shrimp. So, pag yun yung kinain ng human, they can become infected with the Angiostrongylus cantonensis or the Costa ricensis. So, Dracunculus medinensis, a common name that is the guinea worm, other common name that is also dragon worm, medina worm, or fairy serpent of Israelites. Okay, so habitat that is found in the subcutaneous tissue, intermediate host, aquatic crustaceans, again a copepod, so that is a copepod. Mode of transmission, ingestion of contaminated crustacean. So, the Dracunculus medinensis is actually the longest nematode affecting human. Kasi, the worm can reach up to 1 meter in length. Nakakadiri. So, you can see that's the worm. So, morphology, males measure 40 mm in length, females measure 80 mm in length, but they can reach up to 1 meter in length. Diagnosis, that is through visual observation of skin blister. The worm serpentine presence beneath the skin can be seen. So, induced release of larvae from the skin ulcer by applying cold water. So, most likely, in-apply niya yan ng cold water kaya lumabas yung worm. So, for the life cycle, infective stage exists in water-free, copepod, or crustaceans, which serve as the intermediate host. Humans become infected by drinking water containing the infected copepod or crustacean. Larvae penetrate the digestive tract to enter the deep connective tissues where they mature in about 1 year. So, sobrang tagal. Females migrate to subcutaneous tissue, usually the skin of the extremities. Kaya nakita nyo naman sa paa, or sa extremities. So, females release larvae which leave the human through ruptured blisters on the skin. So, the larvae enter the water and are ingested by copepods, and the cycle continues. Okay, so that is for the discussion. So, we're done with the intestinal nematodes and some of the extraintestinal nematodes. So, we still have other nematodes to discuss. So, let's have a review. Migration. So, what are the nematodes that are capable of migration? Remember, has has heart-to-lung migration. Ano yun? H4, hookworm. A4, ascaris. S4, strongyloides stercoralis. Okay, soil-transmitted helminths. Hats, apat. 4 hats. Bakit apat? Because there are 4. 4 soil-transmitted helminths. Okay? Helminths, it refers to nematodes. Pag sinasabing helminths, we are referring to nematodes. So, H4, hookworm, ascaris, trichuris, and strongyloides. Unholy Trinity. So, the unholy trinity, that is 3 BFF with hat. Okay? So, hat ulit. So, ano yun? Hookworm, ascaris, and trichuris. Yun yung unholy trinity na parasite. So, these are their eggs. This is, ito muna tayo. This is hookworm. The presence of inhaling, covering, bipolar plugs, Japanese lantern appearance, trichuris, trichura egg. This is, wala siyang cortications. Okay? It has no cortications. That's why this is the Ascaris lumbricoides decorticated egg. Okay? Kung hindi siya decorticated egg, that can either be if fertilized or unfertilized. Okay, so thank you so much for listening. Okay, so pag-graduate din kayo, kapit lang, and study wisely. Bye!